A 16-year-old kid walks into his favorite record store in Seattle and sees Kurt Cobain standing in the corner. It's November 1993. Nirvana is everywhere. Kurt is the biggest rock star on the planet, and he's just standing there, alone, flipping through vinyl like a regular person. The kid's heart is pounding. He knows he shouldn't approach, knows Kurt probably wants to be left alone. But something makes him walk over anyway. And instead of asking for an autograph, he says 7 words. 7 words that make Kurt Cobain stop, turn around, and stare at him with an expression the kid will remember for the rest of his life. What happens next takes 90 seconds. Just 90 seconds. But 30 years later, that kid, now a grown man, still tells the story, still gets emotional. Because in those 90 seconds, Kurt Cobain showed him something that no song ever could. Cellophane Square Records sits on 15th Avenue East in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. Small storefront, narrow, maybe 800 square feet total. The kind of place where you have to turn sideways to get past another customer. Wooden floors that creak, fluorescent lights humming overhead. Rows of vinyl organized by genre, then alphabetically. Metal bins along the walls, posters covering every inch of available space. The Pixies, Sonic Youth, Mudhoney, local bands nobody outside Seattle has heard of yet. The air smells like old paper and dust and decades of cigarette smoke that no amount of cleaning can erase. It's a Tuesday afternoon, November 16th, 1993. Gray outside, Seattle gray. The kind that sits heavy and low and makes 3 p.m. feel like twilight. Rain coming down steady. Not hard, just persistent. The kind Seattleites don't bother with umbrellas for. The kind that soaks through your jacket slowly until you realize you've been cold for an hour without noticing. Inside Cellophane Square, maybe 6 people browsing, regulars mostly. The owner behind the counter reading a music magazine. A couple in their 20s flipping through the new arrivals. A middle-aged man in a Soundgarden shirt examining the jazz section with the focus of a surgeon. And in the back corner, near the punk and hardcore section, a figure in a gray hoodie, hood up, head down, sunglasses on despite being indoors. Flipping through records, slowly, methodically. Not looking at anyone. Not wanting to be looked at. Danny Reeves is 16 years old, sophomore at Garfield High School. Comes to Cellophane Square every Tuesday after school. Has since he was 14. Uses his allowance and money from bussing tables at a diner on weekends to buy records. Mostly punk, some indie. Whatever the guys behind the counter recommend. This place is more than a store to him. It's church. It's therapy. It's the only place where what he loves actually matters. Danny walks in. Bell above the door jingles. He nods at Marcus behind the counter. Marcus nods back. No words needed. Danny heads straight for the punk section, his section, where he always goes first, where he found Minor Threat and Black Flag and Dead Kennedys, where he discovered that music could be angry and smart at the same time. Where he learned that feeling like you don't fit anywhere is exactly what makes you fit here. He's 3 steps into the punk section when he sees him, the figure in the hoodie. Head down, sunglasses. But Danny can see the profile, can see the shoulder-length blonde hair falling out from under the hood, can see the way he holds his body, hunched, protective, like he's trying to fold into himself. And Danny knows instantly, knows with absolute certainty. That's Kurt Cobain, standing 8 feet away, in his record store, in his section, flipping through vinyl like a normal person, like he's not the most famous rock star on the planet, like In Utero didn't come out 2 months ago, like Smells Like Teen Spirit didn't change everything. Like MTV doesn't play Nirvana videos every hour. Like you can't walk through a high school hallway without hearing someone argue about whether Nirvana sold out or stayed real. Danny's heart starts pounding. His hands go numb. His vision tunnels. He's suddenly aware of every sound, every movement, the hum of the lights, the rain on the windows, the rustle of someone flipping through records 3 aisles over, his own breathing. Too loud, too fast. He should leave Kurt alone. He knows this, knows that famous people come here specifically because Marcus doesn't allow harassment, doesn't allow pestering. This is a safe space, a neutral zone. You can shop here without being bothered. That's the rule. That's why people like Kurt can show up alone without security and just be human for 20 minutes. But Danny's feet move anyway. 1 step, 2, 3. He's not deciding to walk over. His body is just doing it. Autopilot. The part of his brain screaming at him to turn around isn't connected to his legs anymore. He's moving, getting closer. 6 feet away. 5. 4. Kurt senses someone approaching. His shoulders tense. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge Danny, just keeps flipping records, waiting for whoever it is to go away, waiting to be left alone. Danny stops 3 feet away, close enough to speak without shouting, close enough that Kurt can't pretend not to hear. Far enough to not be aggressive, not threatening, just present. Danny's mouth is dry, his throat tight. He has no idea what he's going to say. Didn't plan this. Doesn't have a speech prepared. Just knows he has to say something. Has to take this chance. Has to tell Kurt something true. And what comes out isn't congratulations. Isn't, I love your music. Isn't, can I get an autograph? What comes out is 7 words. 7 words that come from somewhere Danny didn't know existed inside him. 7 words that are more honest than anything he said in his entire 16 years. Your music made me feel less alone. Simple, direct, true. Not asking for anything, not wanting anything back. Just offering truth. The kind of truth you can only say to a stranger. The kind you can't say to friends or family because it reveals too much, because it admits you've been alone, that you've been hurting, that you needed saving. Kurt stops moving. His hand freezes on a record spine. For 3 seconds, he doesn't react, doesn't turn, doesn't acknowledge Danny at all. Just stands there, perfectly still, like someone hit pause. Then slowly he turns around. He takes off his sunglasses, hooks them on his hoodie collar, and looks at Danny. Really looks at him. Not the way famous people look at fans. Not the polite smile and quick glance and let me get back to my life look. This is different. This is eye contact that feels like recognition, like Kurt is actually seeing him. Seeing past the awkward teenager in a too big jacket, seeing something deeper. Kurt's eyes are tired, really tired, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. But there's something else there too, something that looks like pain and gratitude mixed together, like Danny just said something Kurt needed to hear, but didn't want to need. What's your name? Kurt's voice is quiet, hoarse, like he hasn't spoken in hours. Danny. How old are you, Danny? 16. Kurt nods slowly, processing. Then he does something Danny doesn't expect. He asks a question. What were you alone about? The question catches Danny off guard. Most adults don't ask follow-ups, don't want details. They accept surface answers and move on. But Kurt is standing there, waiting for a real answer. And something about the way he asked, the way he's looking at Danny, like the answer actually matters, makes Danny tell the truth. Everything. Home? School? I don't fit anywhere. I'm not like the jocks, not like the popular kids, not even like the other weird kids. I just exist in this space where nobody really sees me. And then I heard your music, and it felt like someone understood. Like someone else felt this way and survived it, made something from it. Kurt's expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind his eyes, a flicker of recognition, of shared experience, of knowing exactly what Danny means because he lived it, is still living it, just with different scenery. How long have you felt like that? Kurt asks. Since I was 11, maybe younger. I don't remember not feeling it. Kurt nods again, slow, heavy, like Danny just confirmed something Kurt already knew but hoped wasn't true. That there are kids everywhere feeling exactly what he felt. That his music reached them because the wound is the same. That nothing really changed. The world is still eating its young. Does it get better? Danny asks. The question falls out before he can stop it. Vulnerable, needy. The kind of question that makes you want to take it back the second it hits the air. Kurt doesn't answer right away. Doesn't give false comfort. Doesn't offer empty reassurance. He just looks at Danny like he's considering whether to tell the truth or the lie that makes people feel better. And then he chooses truth. It gets different. That's all I can promise. The feeling doesn't go away. You just get better at carrying it. You find people who understand. You find things that matter. And some days, that's enough. The honesty of it hits Danny harder than any encouragement would, because it's real. Because Kurt isn't treating him like a kid who needs protection from reality. He's talking to him like an equal. Like someone who already knows the world is hard and doesn't need it sugar-coated. Can I tell you something? Kurt says. Danny nods, doesn't trust his voice. I'm 26 years old. I've got a wife and a kid. I've sold millions of records. And I still feel exactly what you just described. Some days I wake up and the loneliness is so heavy I can't get out of bed. Success didn't fix it. Fame didn't fix it. Money didn't fix it. The only thing that helps is knowing other people feel it too. That I'm not the only one. That we're all kind of alone together. Danny's eyes burn. He's not going to cry. Not here, not now. But his throat is so tight he can barely breathe. You telling me my music helped you, Kurt continues. That matters more than you know. Because most days, I wonder if any of this matters. If the music gets through. If anyone actually hears what I'm trying to say, or if they just like the melody. You telling me you heard it? That it mattered? That's everything. Silence settles between them. Not awkward, just heavy. Weighted with things neither of them knows how to say. Around them, the record store continues. People browsing, Marcus ringing up a sale, the rain on the windows. Life happening. But in this corner, in this moment, time feels suspended. Don't give up, Kurt says finally. I know that sounds like something adults say when they don't know what else to say, but I mean it. You're 16. You've got so much time, so much possibility. The loneliness feels permanent right now. I know it does. But it's not. You'll find your people. You'll find your place. Just hold on long enough to get there. Danny nods. Can't speak. If he speaks, he'll break. Kurt reaches into his hoodie pocket, pulls out a Sharpie, takes Danny's hand, not asking permission, just gently taking his wrist and turning it over so the pale underside of his forearm is exposed. And he writes something. 4 words in small, cramped handwriting. You are not alone. When it gets bad, Kurt says, still holding Danny's wrist. Look at that. Remember, someone else knows what it feels like. Remember, you're not the only one. He lets go of Danny's wrist, puts the Sharpie back in his pocket, puts his sunglasses back on, pulls his hood up. The walls come back up. The famous person armor clicks back into place. Take care of yourself, Danny. You too, Danny manages to say. Kurt nods once, then turns back to the records. The conversation is over. Danny knows it. Knows he's been given something rare and it's time to go. Time to walk away and let Kurt be invisible again. Danny walks out of Cellophane Square Records in a daze. The rain is still falling. The street is still gray. But everything feels different. Sharper. More real. He looks down at his arm, at the words written there in smudged black ink. You are not alone. He doesn't wash it off that night. Doesn't wash it off the next day. Keeps it visible until it fades naturally over the next week. And even after it fades, he can still see where it was. Can still feel the weight of Kurt's hand on his wrist. Can still hear his voice saying, "You're not the only one." 5 months later, Kurt Cobain will be dead. Danny will hear the news at school. Will leave class without permission. Will walk to Cellophane Square and sit on the curb outside and cry until Marcus comes out and sits next to him. Won't say anything, just sits there. 2 people grieving someone they knew in completely different ways. Danny will grow up, will graduate high school, will move to Portland, will start a band, will get married, will have kids of his own. And he will never forget November 16th, 1993. Never forget 90 seconds in a record store when the most famous person in the world saw him, really saw him, and told him the truth instead of a comforting lie. Years later, Danny's own son will be 16, will come home from school quiet and withdrawn, will spend hours in his room, will stop eating, stop sleeping, and Danny will recognize the signs, will recognize the loneliness, will sit down with his son and tell him a story about a record store in Seattle, and 7 words and 90 seconds that changed everything. And he'll roll up his sleeve, show his son the inside of his forearm, where 30 years ago, Kurt Cobain wrote 4 words. The ink is long gone. The skin has aged. But if you know where to look, if you know the story, you can almost still see it. You are not alone. That's what 90 seconds can do. Not save someone, not fix everything. Just remind them that loneliness is universal. That the most famous person alive feels it too. That feeling alone doesn't mean being alone. That someone else survived the same darkness and made something beautiful from it. Kurt Cobain went to Cellophane Square to buy records, to be normal for 20 minutes, to escape the weight of being Kurt Cobain. But in 90 seconds with a stranger, he did something more important than any concert or album ever could. He told one kid the truth. And that truth echoed forward, through decades, through generations, through one person telling another that someone once told them they weren't alone. And that made all the difference.